what you're watching, I guess, through the course of the movie is, are there any cops that aren't dirty involved in this? And you know, there's sort of this, the audience is trying to balance whether or not the bad guys are really bad or whether the good guys are really good. And so that's essentially the chase that you're seeing throughout. Closing the island, it not only compresses the space that these two fugitives can you know, run to, but it also puts a clock on how long we have to find them.
Captain McKenna brings in Detective Frankie Burns as the narcotics representative because there are so many drugs involved in this bust that goes horribly wrong. And I think Davis, who Chadwick plays, is definitely initially not too keen on the idea of having anyone join him. He's a lone wolf. This guy works much better on his own, but I think relatively quickly understands that she's smart and capable and could be a useful asset as the evening progresses. So what ultimately begins as slightly kind of snide and not very interested ends up as, you know, we're partners and it works. I loved that it took place in one night. I felt like that was such an exciting way to tell a story, and especially a story in this genre. And I think with the casting of it, they really went for actors, like character actors. It wasn't the obvious choices. There's no glamour. It's a very kind of real look at what this would actually be like, and they've been very thorough with having cops consult. So the entire thing felt like it was heading towards aiming to be something that's very real and grounded, and that's always an appeal for me in a script.
Everyone loves a good crime action thriller, you know. For me, like, some of my favorite movies growing up were The Heat. Reservoir Dogs is like top 3 all time to me. So, you know, for me, I feel like this film sort of had elements of that, everything I loved about a good crime thriller, and you know, no one's ever seen me do something like that. So for me, it was a really cool thing to, you know, to get to be a part of it. It's really cool because, I mean, I think that the film, it all takes place in this night, so you're dealing with sort of a race against time, you know, in which the audience can sort of really, you know, get a feel of what these guys are going through and follow along in this journey. And it's not sporadic, it's not a bunch of different days, it's just one consistent night. So, yeah, things go awry, to say the least.
I love the part where they shut down the city, you know, it's never been done before, and I mean, that's, if you think about it, that's just the gesture alone is insane, you know, New York City and this manhunt, and I think ego-wise, playing Ray, you love it, you know, that you have everybody in the city just all in and looking for these two guys.
When Detective Davis, Chadwick Boseman's character, makes the decision that the best way to try and catch these two guys is to simply close down the island of Manhattan and keep them trapped in Manhattan. There's a big meeting on the street of all the brass, captain, deputy chief, and all the way up to the deputy mayor, and he's got this bold, brash idea that this is the way to do it, and kind of very quickly talks us through the logistics of why this has to happen and how we can make it happen. And once the deputy mayor signs off on it, he says, you know, basically you have until sunrise, so the clock is ticking. One of the things that's almost unique in my experience about this feature, especially this is, I think it's around 40 days, and at Brian's suggestion and continued urging, we've been able to shoot largely in sequence, not 100%, but the story kind of lends itself to that a little bit because, you know, the bad guys will go to a certain location, the cops will chase them to that location. So in that sense, it was logistically sort of made sense. But it's very helpful for actors to, it's sort of the best of both worlds of doing a play and a movie, you know, to be able to do it, again, not 100%, but largely in sequence, because so oftentimes, you know, on day 3 of a long shoot, you find yourself shooting, you know, whatever, the big scene at the end of the movie, and then as you're going along, you go, oh, wow, this would have informed that. Oh, yeah, I wish I'd have known this when that, you know. And there's been very little of that in this case, which is a blessing for all concerned, especially the script supervisor.
Hi there, so did you like the video? Well, stay with me as I have a bonus, if somewhat controversial, behind-the-scenes movie fact for you. D.W. Griffith, a pioneering Hollywood film director, is credited with using the first close-up, the long shot, the fade-out and other film techniques in his 1915 groundbreaking and highly racist film, The Birth of a Nation, aka The Klansman. Now, do you like my shirt? You can get one for yourself in the link in the description.